Hey, Sam.
Hey Bev, how's it going?
It's going awesome. Everything is
Awesome.
awesome. That's the
Everything
only
is
time you'll
cool
hear
when
me
you're part
sing.
of a team. I love that song.
I do too.
I also love the sound of that beer you're opening.
I know, isn't that amazing? It's like the best sound in the world.
What is it? What did you open?
So, you're gonna love this. If I can get it out of my koozie. Why do I do that? I need
I
to
feel
open
like I
them
need
when
a
they're
drum
not in
roll.
their
You're really
koozie.
building this up.
I know, right? So, this is Platform Beer Company's Becky.
Oh my God, Becky, look at her butt.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw the beer. My husband picked it up for me yesterday. He saw it and he's like, "You're gonna love this because it's a blueberry apple ale and it is delicious and it's a
Ooh,
local Ohio beer.
that sounds delightful.
Yeah, it's perfect for this hot as balls day."
A hot ass balls, because asses have balls.
I mean, they're really close to asses, but I don't know
Yeah,
if they have them.
I do not cut
Whatevs.
that. That is fantastic.
I won't,
Uh,
don't worry.
okay, good.
Delightfully appley,
Ooh, it sounds so
cooling,
good.
delicious beer. What are you drinking, Sam?
I'm also drinking a rather fruity beer today, which is exciting. So I think I've mentioned before Shorts Brew Soft Parade. Well, I picked up their Soft Parade Shandy because I was
Mm.
just curious about it. And Shorts Brewing Company is actually in Elk Rapids, Michigan. So it's a local beer, which I love. And it is a fruit rye ale brewed with blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, and homemade lemonade. And oh my gosh, it tastes like a party in my mouth.
That sounds incredible. Also, a perfect hot as balls summer day
Yeah,
beer. It's not even really summer yet.
I
Barely. It's almost summer.
know.
It'll be summer by the time this drops, right? Is June
Pretty.
21st the
Oh,
first day of summer?
yeah. Is it June or is it? Yeah, it's June, right? When summer.
Yeah, like
I'm
June
so bad with
22nd
this.
is the first day of summer. I don't know.
Okay. I'm so bad with this solstice thing. So actually,
I mean, there's a reason we don't call this podcast We Drink and We Know Things
that's
because
true. Because one, Bev doesn't watch Game of Thrones, and
that's right.
two, we don't know a lot. We're learning as we go. We make shit up all the time.
We drink and we say things. That'd be a good one too.
Yeah. We drink and we barely have a filter, especially Sam.
Hey,
Uh,
we're a lot of fun.
yeah, we are. We're a blast. And yeah, we're going places apparently. So, like the
Well, I mean, we're
neighbor.
going to Illinois
Yeah,
in just a few weeks,
I
so
know. Holy crap. I need to like figure that out, I guess, because yeah, how many weeks away is that? So this is dropping on Friday, so that's 1, 2, 3 weeks away. Yeah, 3-ish weeks away.
yes, that sounds about right. And that totally reminds me, we got some housekeeping we gotta talk about.
Yes.
Because I need to get those shirts posted. I'm sorry I haven't yet, and unfortunately that means that the ordering window is gonna be like crazy short
Yeah.
because we have to order them at least 2 weeks before we need to leave for the beer fest.
Ah!
Yeah, so when this episode drops, you'll have like 4 days to order them, and that's
Oh,
it. But
balls.
we should have posted a link to purchase them on
Oh
like all
yeah.
of our social media and our groups and all of that fun stuff before then.
Even if you're not going, we encourage you guys to like buy a shirt because it's still going to be super cute. Like Bev's shown me sneak peeks of it. Super adorable. You're going to want one whether you're going or not.
Yeah, it's totally perfect for doing your farm chores in. And what's extra awesome about it is it's just another way to help tell our podcast that you want it to like keep going.
Yeah.
Because we'll make a couple bucks on each shirt. Not a lot, but we'll make a few bucks. And then when you're wearing it around town, people can be like, hey, that shirt is friggin' awesome. What is that shirt for? And you can be like, this amazing podcast that I listen to called We Drink and We Farm Things. And when they ask you what it's about, you're going to be like, I don't know. They just drink and farm things
And say weird shit
and
sometimes, like
bullshit
ass balls.
and tell weird stories and
Yeah.
ask funny questions and interview awesome people.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping that that drops before this episode drops, so we can't like
Oh, I
spoil
know.
anything in this episode
I
about it, just in case.
know.
But yeah, we interviewed for Saturday Lime, and it was epic.
It was so good. Yeah. And just so you guys know, we have more interviews lined up. So you should be really excited for that. But if you are wanting to go to the Naperville Ale Fest, please go to napervillealefest.com, I think. Yes, I had to double check. This is going to be July 14th, which is a Saturday. And if you do the VIP, it's 12 o'clock you can get in there. If you don't do the VIP, which I'm not sure what me and Bev are doing, I need to double check. But you can get in at 1 p.m. Okay, so you guys want to go to that website and check it out because there are like 200 beer vendors. You're not going to be thirsty when you leave. You get little drink tickets, but I never managed to make it all the way through my drink tickets. So trust me, you'll be just fine. So make sure if you're coming from a distance that you check out local hotels and that you have your Uber all set up because you definitely don't want to be driving after this because you're going to be feeling like no pain.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yes, yes, yes.
And you get to hang out with Sam and Bev all day. Well, you don't have
Yeah,
to hang out with us all day, but you can come
but
say hi to
yeah,
us
you
and
should.
I don't know, give us a hug. Are you a hugger, Sam?
Um,
Because honestly, I'm not
eh,
really a hugger.
eh, I
I
don't like people
will.
touching me. I
I see. Yeah, I don't either.
like
That's so funny.
I feel like I might hug you. Like I'm
I would hug you.
selective. I'm
Yeah.
selective in my hugging. Like I I have to feel like I really know the person. So strangers, like I don't know. If I get a weird vibe, I don't know.
We'll high five you. We can promise that. We can promise a high
Yes.
five. And
All
if it
about the high
feels right,
fives.
we'll do hugs. But if it doesn't
Right.
feel right, it kind of depends on how many beers in you've gotten
Yeah,
me. Because once I'm a few beers in, I'll hug everybody.
exactly. Everybody is lovely and I want to hug them and tell them how pretty they are.
That's so funny that you don't like hugs either. My best friend in Phoenix, she hates hugs. And it's like our running joke that like we only hug, even though we've been friends for, oh my gosh, it's been like 12 years now, I think. Uh, yeah, or maybe 10. It's been quite a long time. We've been friends for a super long time for adults, considering we met in adulthood and not like in college. And yeah, we only hug like when we haven't seen each other in forever or when something really important is happening. So,
Well, and what's funny to me too is like I don't come from a family of huggers, but my husband's family is huggers. So like saying goodbye, and I'm probably gonna get shit for this, but I don't really care because I think I've kind of mentioned it before to my husband's family. I don't like hugs, and it makes goodbyes just drag on for frickin' forever because I feel like if I don't hug one person, they're gonna be salty about it. So I have to hug everybody on the way out. And then my brother-in-law, one of them likes to smack my ass, which is just playful. It's not perverted or anything, but like that's kind of a ritual. And like, but also when you get there, they all want to hug too.
oh,
So,
that's a lot of hugs.
yeah, in my family, like we don't do that. So when my husband says goodbye to my family, he's like going around hugging everybody, and I'm just like, bye. I'm like ready to do the Irish goodbye and just like leave, not say bye. That's how Sam rolls. But I promise, if you guys hang
Yeah, I
out with
like
us at the
that.
Ale Fest for most of it, I will say hello and goodbye, but no guarantees on the hugs. We'll see. We'll feel it out.
I
You
like high
know,
fives.
we can like sniff each other, kind of like dogs, but not actually. I'm not going to actually sniff you, but you know what I mean. Like you got to feel
Yeah,
it out.
there we go. We'll
Yeah,
see
high
what feels right.
fives.
We'll do what feels
Yeah,
right. We're good like that.
yeah, exactly. No forced hugging.
What other housekeeping things do we have? Our Patreon is doing awesome. Thank you guys so much for being Patreon members. And if you aren't yet, definitely go check out that link in the show notes. I've been posting fun cuts and clips from our episodes. I've got a whole backlog of stuff to upload to that. But I've got a week coming up where I'm actually going to have time to do some stuff. So I promise that I'll get those up sometime after this episode drops. So there's going to be all sorts of fun content to go through. And you get to listen to that whether you're a $2 Patreon subscriber or whether you are buying us the drinks at $15 a month. So yeah, get on that.
Yeah, go do it, guys. It's so much fun. Another super important thing to remind you guys of, make sure you head over to iTunes, whether it's on your computer or on your Apple product, to leave us a rating and a review. You guys have been like rolling them in, and it's so awesome for Bev and I to read that and see the feedback. like all of it's been pretty positive, but even if you have something like, I don't know, Sam's a heavy breather or something, like I don't mind if you throw that in there. I'll try to breathe more shallow. Um, Bev does most of the editing, so I think she does a good job of hiding some of that stuff that we may or may not do. Um, but yeah, go over there and leave us a review because we do read every single one, and I kind of wish we could like reply back to them. I don't know if we can or not, but that would be kind of cool because
Yeah, that would be kind of cool.
we so appreciate you guys taking the time to do that. And then make sure you take a screenshot of it and either DM it to us through Instagram, put it in the Facebook group if you're in there, because we are going to be like drawing a name out of a proverbial hat to send somebody some Drinking Farm
We'll
swag.
put them in a wine glass.
Ooh, yeah.
And I don't
Let's
know,
do
we'll do
that.
it live on Instagram.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Sam can do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Sam can go live. Do it
Oh,
live, Sam. Do it
fine.
live.
Fine, Bev. I will. I'll just stare at my own face the whole time and not make eye contact with anybody through the
Yeah.
camera hole.
Or maybe we can do it in the group. I saw that there was like an option to
Mm.
join the thing. I'm
Yes.
wondering if we can both record at the same time and people can see both
Yep.
of our faces.
Yep. I can start it and invite you,
Oh,
and
perfect.
then
So
you
that's what
can
we'll
join
do. We'll
it.
do it live in the group.
Yeah. So go to the group. We drink and we farm things on Facebook. That is growing. That grew quite a bit the past week.
I saw that.
So that was really exciting. We had our first spammer in there,
We
right?
did.
What did she post?
I don't even remember. It was something about making money or getting a loan or
Oh, because like I saw that somebody posted something and then I couldn't find it, so I assumed that's what it was.
yeah, it's because I deleted it and I blocked them for forever,
Oh,
so they can
good.
never come back. So that's what
S-
happens to spammers.
Yeah, the round pink ham.
It's pink and it's oval, and
Yeah,
you
and it's
buy it at the
questionable.
mobile. There's that song, Say Ferris. It's an awesome song about spam.
Oh my gosh, you'll have to link that to the show notes.
I will. I'll link to the music video. I'm like, what are those called? MTV doesn't do them anymore. Music videos. That's what it is.
Oh, what else do we need to? Oh,
Oh,
this one's huge, by the way. This is huge, guys. So, you know, Henny and Rue is one of our sponsors by now, and we just found out that we are for sure having a drink and farm item in the July box. So, you guys really want to take advantage of that 10% off code. Drink and Farm, so you can go like subscribe to your first box, or if you're already a subscriber, I hope you didn't cancel for your July box because we have something coming and I'm so excited about it.
yeah, it's gonna be freaking amazing. We can't spoil the surprise because they've already like done a sneak peek item for the July box. So the rest of it's supposed to be like
It's a
Chicken
secret.
Christmas. So it's a secret, so we can't tell you what
It's
it
a
is, but
secret.
it's freaking amazing and you're gonna love it.
And the June box actually sold out, so you guys want to make sure that you go do this like right meow.
Right, meow.
Meow. Did you just say meow?
Did you just say meow?
Yeah, I did.
Meow, I didn't.
Oh, Sam snorted on the podcast.
I love that. I'm gonna leave it. I won't cut the snort
Oh,
out.
that's fine. That means I think something's really funny if I snort, but I try really hard to control it. So there's that. I've already had a beverage today, and I'm already halfway through this beer because we recorded a little ditty or five before this, so I was sipping on it
Yeah,
already. So the snorts are
there we
coming
go.
out. You're welcome, people.
I like it. It'll be a good episode, that means.
Yeah.
And did you tell them what the code was at Honey and Rue?
It's Drinking
Drink and
Farm.
Farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spell out
Code
and.
Drink and Five.
Drinking five. Ooh, Bev had beverages too before. I could tell. Actually,
Code
you were
Drink and
you
Farm.
were you were really good and didn't drink during the other stuff.
Yeah, no, I didn't because I didn't want to have to get up to get another beer because my bursitis has like flared up again. So I'm just
Oh
like sitting on a giant ice pack
no.
trying not to move.
Too bad
That's what
it's
my
not
weekend has
Mother's
been.
Day because then you could like ring a bell and they could bring you beverages.
I know, right? But it's Father's Day today instead. So my husband's
Yeah.
upstairs cleaning my 6-year-old's room because she flooded our bathtub and we had water coming out of our kitchen ceiling last week. My life is insane. So
Oh,
if anybody wonders why I drink,
that has to be like the worst thing to do on Father's Day. It's like, oh, your
hmm
offspring that allow you to have Father's Day did this.
right? He's a good sport about it though, and we have fun plans
Aw.
for this afternoon, this evening. So when we're done
Oh,
recording,
good.
we'll
Good,
get
good.
to do some good stuff. So, and I made a really nice breakfast, and yeah, so I think we're good.
I offered to go through the McDonald's drive-through for my husband, and he said no. So,
Oh,
because he likes McDonald's breakfast, but him and the kids went to breakfast yesterday. Well, I went and got my hair did for like 4 hours.
that's
Took
amazing. I love your purple hair,
crazy
by the
long.
way.
Thank you. It was actually supposed to be like we started with like a blonde balayage type thing, and then I was like, let's just do peekaboo purple. And we did that, hence why it took freaking forever because you had to do the bleach and then the treatment, and then she trimmed it a little bit, and then she put the peekaboo in and it had to sit for another 20 minutes. And then when it rinsed out, it just like all clung to the blonde, but it actually looks really freaking cool because it looks like different tones of purple where like the different tones of blonde were. So I'm not even like mad about it. I'm so happy with how it turned out.
I like it. It's super awesome.
Thank you.
And one more thing I totally forgot to mention when we were talking about the Patreon stuff is if you join our Patreon during the month of June, sometime in July, we'll be sending something cool to those Patreon members that are at the $5 level and over, because that's the swag level. But, but, I gotta throw a but in
Dun
there.
dun dun.
Don't just join just because we're going to be sending something out and then like drop at the end of the month, because the purpose of the Patreon is to sort of give the podcast ongoing support so that we can do things like pay for this super sweet software that we're using to record our episodes now. Like at the $5 a month level, you're almost paying like $1 per an episode, because we've been dropping an episode every Friday and we've got some super cool mini-sodes
Mm-hmm.
starting to stack up. So look at the Patreon as like you're making sure that the podcast that makes you laugh and keeps you company while you're doing your farm chores gets to keep going, and that you get some super cool stuff like in addition to it when we have the extra funds and times to put those together. Don't like just get the thing and then cancel the following month and then join again when we're doing a thing and then
Yeah.
cancel month, because that just kind of makes us sad. It makes us feel bad. And it defeats the
Yeah.
purpose of the Patreon. So that's kind of an icky housekeeping thing that we got to talk about.
Yeah.
But,
And like it just makes me feel cheap. Or like I'm a sale item. Like
well,
I'm on
Sam,
clearance.
you are not a sale item. You are full price and
Yes,
worth
I
every penny
am.
of it.
Oh, thanks.
So there we go. Do we got any other housekeeping? Any more corners to sweep or things
Uh,
to get out from under the rug? Because that's where I hide all my shit.
at least it's not under your bed like my stepson does. I
No,
was
my
like,
bed, you can't put stuff under my bed. There's drawers under my bed.
oh, well, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my stepson goes, I go, okay, did you clean your room? Yeah. Is there stuff under your bed? No. And I go look and there's like so much shit under his bed. I'm like, liar, liar.
You're like, you know I have eyes. Why do you lie to
Yeah,
me? Do you think I'm
exactly.
blind?
Do you think I'm that old that I can't get down on my hands and knees and look under your bed? Because I'm not. I'm only 30. 30 is the new 20. Okay? Okay.
All right, so we're done cleaning the house. The house is clean.
Yay, finally. That's
Squeaky
such a good
clean
feeling.
podcast. Hey Sam, did you know that this episode is sponsored by Henny and Roo, which is the subscription box for chickens and their keepers?
Why, yes, I did. And I'm so excited to share it with all of our listeners. If you go to honeyandroo.com, you can get set up with a monthly subscription, which means this lovely chicken box shows up at your door every single month. And when you check out, use code DRINKANDFARM, you'll get 10% off that first box.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
We have some follow up on
Oh,
our
we
last
do.
episode.
Yes.
Yeah, just a
Because
little bit
you
of follow
were.
up. This will be super, super brief. So the first thing I wanted to mention was I was listening back to it about the thing that I said about chickens and like, you know, how they'll eat the chicken next to them and they won't care. And I
Mm-hmm.
realized that that was probably casting chickens in like a not so friendly light. And I didn't really mean to do that because I know chickens all have different personalities. So I don't think that they're all
Right.
jerks and will eat the one next to them. Like there's lots of super friendly chickens and there's lots of like super jerky chickens, and some chickens are more cannibalistic than others. So if you heard that and you were like, "Ugh, F you, Bev, my chicken would never eat its friend that roosts next to it every night and they wrap their wings around each other and are just BFFs for forever," you're probably right. Those chickens would not eat each other because chickens have feelings and they do make friends. But I was trying to be funny. And I realized it didn't come off right when I listened to it. So I assumed it probably didn't come off right for some people.
Yeah. Oh, that was nice of you to
Yeah.
explain that, you know.
I just didn't want everybody to think I was a jerk that thought that chickens didn't have feelings, because they totally do.
No,
They all have different
no.
personalities.
Yeah, and I definitely have chickens in my flock that would definitely eat the other chicken, and then other ones that would just be nicer about it. So, not all
Yeah.
chickens are the same.
Yeah. Not all chickens.
Right. But you were sending like a generalized message across, and if they're like wild chickens, because like there's this one account I follow, like chickens in Dubai, and there's just chickens like roaming the streets. I wonder if those chickens, because their life is kind of hard knock, if they would be more likely to be cannibalistic.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Somebody needs to study that.
Yeah. Somebody needs to Google it.
We're not Googling that right now.
No, we have too much to talk about.
Right. And I have one more tiny bit of follow up. We had talked about milk money once again and like the dire straits that the milk industry
Mm-hmm.
is in. And then I was listening to the radio and I heard something that told dairy farmers that there was relief from the federal government, but you had to apply for it by June 22nd, which is the day that this episode drops.
Oh,
The
yeah.
deadline has been extended multiple times because it was originally the 1st of June or like the last day of May. So even if you feel like you might have missed it, go ahead and go check it out and see if you can apply for the aid. Not that dairy farmers don't know what they're doing and they won't know about the aid, but I didn't know about it, so I thought I would mention it just in case there was a small dairy farmer out there that is feeling pretty low and like they can't make ends meet because of the new prices. I wanted to make sure that they knew about it.
No, and I didn't even know that was a thing, so that was just kind of a cool like tidbit to read over.
Yeah, and it's not, I mean, it's not going to cover all of the money that's being lost, but it does protect when the milk prices are below the cost that it is to feed the cows. It's like an insurance program that makes up the difference so that they're not losing out so much.
Right.
Every little bit helps, right?
Yeah, it does.
So I'll leave links to all of that stuff in the show notes. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. I think that's all the follow up we got. Got
I think so
anything else
too.
for follow up?
Yeah. No, I think that's it. So we're officially like actually squeaky clean for this episode and the last episode. So now as we dive into like this week's content, we're just going to get all dirty again.
Yep, because that's what we do. Dirty
Yeah.
birds.
Yes. Ooh, maybe that's what we can call our listeners. Dirty birds.
Dirty birds.
Ooh. What do you
Huh.
guys think of that? Dirty birds. I'm gonna have to put a poll in the group next week after this
Yeah, we
drops.
will. I kind of like that. Dirty birds.
Dirty birds.
Dirty birds that give zero clucks or
Flocks.
flocks? Are we
Flocks.
clucks? Flocks?
I don't know. What'd you put on the shirts?
So, well, they haven't been ordered yet. I put flocks on the shirts,
Okay.
and
Well,
then we
I
said
think,
give zero clucks at the end of a thing. We'll put a poll up there to ask if you guys like flocks or clucks. But
yeah.
I mean, dirty birds that give zero flocks or give zero clucks is pretty good. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. I think that's kind of fun.
Flocks. Flocks. Clucks. They both sound like the F word, so I'm happy either way.
Yeah, right. I know. I love it too. So there we go.
Okay. I'm actually gonna plop that poll in the group right meow. Okay.
Oh, I love that.
So it's like in real time, and then we'll actually have like an answer.
Maybe by the end of the episode, we'll have like an idea of what
Yeah.
people like. So there
So
we go.
we our tagline be, and you can cut this out if you want. Could
Okay,
your
I'll just throw
tagline
this on
be
Patreon.
and give zero clucks or and give zero flocks? Clucks, flocks. Post. Do, 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 do. There it goes. Okay, it's up. That was fast.
Excellent.
All right. All right. What do we want to talk about first?
I think the number one thing we got going on right now is all of the sadness that has happened in your flock this
Such
week.
a bummer of a week. Like, holy shit. Such a bummer
Yeah.
of the week. So, for you guys, and by the time this drops, I'll hopefully know more of like why this week was so stupid. But for you guys that do follow me over on Instagram on my chickens and wine account, We kind of keep our like personal, super personal stuff off of Drink and Farm because we like to keep it light and fun and about you guys and expressing gratitude to our listeners. But if you want to get to know Bev and I more, make sure you follow our personal Instagram accounts.
I'll link to those
Because
in the show notes.
yeah, because we're both pretty open about our farm life stuff on there, for the most part. So, uh, one of our hens, she's this little bantam chicken. She about, it wasn't this past Wednesday, it was the Wednesday before. It started kind of walking like she was drunk almost, like it was very staggered. Kind of like if somebody's like trying to walk the straight line and they're just like super out of their mind drunk. So she was kind of doing that, but seemed fine outside of that. Like she was eating, she was drinking. So I had her like quarantined in a separate area in like a little pet carrier type thing. And she seemed like she wasn't declining anymore until like the last 48 hours. Like she started just like not standing a lot and she was just sitting and leaning. And then, like 24 hours before she passed, it was like starting to get really bad. And then the next morning, so it was like last Wednesday, she died in my husband's arms. And I guess she was like seizing a little bit and her neck was rolling around. And I'm glad she wasn't alone when she passed, but like that was a really horrible text message to get when I was at work. But so that happened, and like it's really some of these sicknesses, it's really hard to determine exactly what it is because if you put those symptoms into Google, Marek's automatically pops up, which is like the herpes virus for chickens. So you can think of it like HPV, which is the herpes virus in humans that causes cancer. It's basically like that for chickens and it spreads super easily. Like the wind can blow just right and can spread it onto your property. Or like a wild bird carrying a piece of shavings with chicken dander on it that's infected with Marek's, if they drop it into your yard and another chicken comes into contact with it, it just, I did not know how easily it spread and it's devastating and terrifying. So it could also be like coccidiosis, it could be botulism, it could be like a handful of other things. It just has very similar symptoms to other things. So I took her to Michigan State University's veterinary laboratory and set her up for a full necropsy, which was not cheap. And we can dig into a little bit of that because I was pretty salty about it.
Yeah.
Not cheap, but it, because I dropped her off Thursday morning and test results are like within 48 hours. They weren't quite ready on Saturday morning, so I'll know more tomorrow or Monday afternoon. So if you guys are listening to this Friday, you can go over to my page, I'm sure, and I'll post about it. Like, yay, it's not Marek's, or holy shit, all my breeding plans and needing to sell all these rooster plans are like completely screwed now because I can't do any of that. Because I'm not gonna, you know, give somebody a rooster that has Marek's because that's just an asshole thing to do, especially if you're aware that that was the problem and that's now in your flock. So,
Yeah. And so this sort of brought up another topic that I hadn't thought of. It's one of the other reasons why like biosecurity within your flock is so
hmm
important
hmm
and why it's recommended that when you add new flock members that, there's a quarantine period and
right,
but one of the things that's so scary about Merrick's is that some birds carry it and they don't have symptoms of it. Like
right.
they're immune to it. Is that the right word? Like they have it, but they don't
Um,
they don't die
they're
from it.
it's like they're dormant to it
Yeah.
almost, or is dormant in their system. So even if you get a bird from somebody else and quarantine them for this, 30, 60 days, however long you prefer to do that, that virus can actually take up to 9 weeks to present itself. So like if that's what it is, I have no clue how it got in here. Now, I do have a sneaking suspicion because we did get a chick from a feed store that did show signs of it being similar to Merrick's. Like she was very small. like the timeline doesn't really add up either for it, but I don't we never really knew what was wrong with her, and we ended up putting her down. She started kind of limping on one leg, and then she went to complete paralysis in her legs, and then paralysis kept going, but she was still like eating and drinking if I let her or helped her. But we ended up putting her down because it wasn't like she was going to get any better. So part of me
Yeah.
wonders if maybe we got it from there or from that chick.
That's a possibility because, that's another thing about like, so because I have chickens, if I went to a friend's farm and took care of their chickens, I would make sure that I wasn't wearing the same clothes or shoes
Mm-hmm.
that I use in my own coop.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's like why they're not a sponsor or anything, but like Sloggers, they make their like chicken shoes. You would like
Yeah.
you'd keep those in your mudroom or in your garage, and you would only use those to go in and out of your coop. You wouldn't wear like your outside shoes that you like wear into the street or like to go out, and vice
Right.
versa. You wouldn't wear your boots out to a feed store and then pick something else up there and then bring it home and step it into your coop. Yeah.
Right.
That's hard to do. That's hard to remember. And I'll be
Yeah.
honest, I'm totally terrible about it because my rubber boots, I wear them when it's raining too. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, and like my husband will wear all, use all kinds of shoes when he's out there and cleaning and stuff, and it's just something you don't feel like you even need to think about.
Yeah.
But I mean, he could have been wearing his boots at Tractor Supply and somebody else walked there with it, and there was just some dirt or dander, and like it seriously spreads that easily. And it's way more prevalent. Like I've even had people reach out to me and tell me that their flock is affected by it and they've lost so many flock members because it can like kill off 30 to 50% of your flock. And then we did actually lose another one Thursday. And it was, and if I'm going back to that chick I was talking about, it was in the same group as that chick. And that,
Oh,
yeah, that rooster was 15 weeks old.
yeah.
But it was super strange because he showed zero signs. And my husband said he was like kind of sitting on the floor of the coop like he was really hot. So he's sitting by like the waterers where it's a little cooler. And my husband like picked him up and put him on the roost and he was standing fine. But we went in there like 3 hours later and he was on the ground dead. But the way he was laying and his breath smelled awful. So I'm not sure if he had like some crop issue or something, like an impaction or it was sour. I didn't cut that one open because I was just so frustrated by that point because I have no idea if
Yeah.
it's Merrick's or not. And I just feel like it's at the end of the day, this isn't necessarily like anybody's fault because this stuff just it happens. Like this is just I've read before if you're gonna have chickens, you better get okay with the idea of death because they hide illnesses really easily. Things can spread. Predators can come get them. Actually, on Thursday too, we lost one of our female ducks,
Oh,
and
so she didn't come back.
I'm
Oh,
pretty sure it was a fox that got her because they like to go back in a group in a bunch of trails, and it was just four of them. On my stories, like me rounding up the ducks and realizing I didn't see Groot. So I was like,
yeah,
oh,
I
this is
saw
so
that.
pretty with the willow trees and all that, and then I couldn't find her.
And you're like, oh
I
man.
was walking the trails and like kind of clapping my hands because I heard some movement and like this thing flew out of the brush with a big fluffy tail. And we have fox family in our neighbor's barn next door.
We
And
talked about that last week.
yeah, and it's not cute. It's not freaking cute that they live in there and you're not calling the DNR to come get them and put them in an area that they belong in. You know, it's just so frustrating. But I can't control that. It's like this is the time where like this stuff just really freaking sucks and it's not easy and I mean, the thing with Merrick's too is that it can live in your soil for like 65 weeks to
Oh my goodness.
65 weeks to like years.
So like even if your whole flock was wiped out by Merrick's, you couldn't just start over.
Right. Yeah.
Oh man.
Even if you like move to a different part of the property, it might still be over there too. And like we have 7 acres, so there's no way we can treat our whole property for Merrick's. Like that'd be ridiculous. So it'll just be
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine doing that here, and it sounds like a nightmare.
yeah. And like I've done some more research and like some people even start breeding their affected because if you breed chickens that have Merrick's, it can breed resistance. So then you like kind of almost breed super chickens in a way because if they can get past it, in the younger years, they're more likely to be like a sturdy, healthy chicken, I guess. But
Yeah. That still dashes any hopes of like being
y
able to give those chickens away or
yes,
sell those
exactly. So it'd
chickens,
just be
though.
like for our own benefit.
Yeah, just because they're immune to it doesn't mean that the flock that
Right.
chicken goes to is going to be immune to it. Yeah.
But the good news is if it is that, it's only spread horizontally, so from chicken to chicken, it isn't spread from the mom to the egg.
Okay.
So, like the eggs and the meat of those chickens is completely fine to eat. You can technically still sell hatching eggs, but it can be a little tricky because if the dander is on the eggs or anything like that, that could spread it. But,
Yeah, and we know that eggs do best when you don't rinse the bloom off.
right, exactly. So it's kind of just dicey and sad, and like I literally have no idea what to do with all these roosters because most of them are so small that it's not even like worth the meat. Like they're just smaller. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
they could be like the little one, like the little Cornish game hens you can get at the store or whatever, but ugh,
Well, and depending on how old they are too, like the meat might not even taste really good or be
yeah,
all that. It's like, crock pot or soup only meat. I
right.
know that one thing Dirty Knees Farm does, which we're going to be talking to her soon because I really love her ritual for butchering her roosters and the way that she runs her hatchery ethically, but I'm not going to spoil that conversation yet. She uses the extra roosters. She makes dog food out of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's kind of interesting.
So that is an option for your extra roosters. Because some of the meat might be so tough that you may not necessarily want to eat it because it won't be like the best chicken meat.
Yeah,
And depending on the
luckily,
breeds, like they may not really be good meat eaters, meat birds,
yeah.
anyways.
Because we have a lot of the sizzles are silky bantam cochin, frizzle cochin ones. I'm convinced like 5 out of the 6 of them are roosters. I'm just trying to figure out which one is the girl at this point.
Oh,
Because they
man.
all look alike. But yeah, or we could even like, well, with those ones, they're younger, so it probably wouldn't be too bad, but I'm sure the cats wouldn't mind having some of that either because they love chicken and tuna. So,
Oh yeah, no. Yeah, so you can totally make animal food out of it. And there have been studies done that show animals like dogs and cats that are fed food like human food, like real good human food, not like Twinkies and vanilla wafers, but like, fresh meat and fresh vegetables, like what you would put on your dinner table, minus all of like the extra salt and pepper and, things that they don't really need. And butter, they probably don't need a ton of extra butter. They're healthier than dogs that just eat dry dog food, and they live longer. Yeah.
okay. Yeah. That's interesting. But I'll definitely keep everyone posted. We'll obviously follow up about this next week because I'll know more. But yeah, super depressing week over at Sam's farm. Like, holy
Oh,
shit.
yeah, I'm
Ugh.
sorry to hear that.
Yeah. But I just refreshed the group page for We Drink and We Farm things and we already have 5 votes for our cluck or flock thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so 5 out of 5 say clucks. So I'm gonna go
Really?
with
Okay.
yeah. So I'm gonna go with right now the clucks are winning.
The Clucks are winning. We'll see what it is at the end
Yes.
of this episode.
Yeah. All right. Well, enough depressing shit. Like I said, I'll follow up with you guys. I want to give a special shout out to Country Fried Tina because her name's Shannon, but her chicken Tina actually has Marek's and is a little Marek's survivor. So I really leaned on her this week and she gave me some awesome resources. So maybe we'll have her on for a midi-sode or something so we can dive a little deeper just into this because even if my flock doesn't have it, I think it's worth educating people on the whole biosecurity thing and just even just not being like super judgmental about death in people's flocks because for a while there, I don't know about you, but I felt pretty invincible. And then that whole sour crop thing happened for me, and then we've had some other losses, and it just makes you realize that just because somebody has death in their flocks or on their farm doesn't mean that they've done anything wrong or that their coops aren't clean
Yeah,
enough or whatever, like that they're not trying hard enough, like that shit just happens.
yeah, and like we've talked about with chickens, like the signs of Marek's are also signs of tons of different illnesses
Hmm.
that they can have, all with devastating results. So it almost doesn't matter which illness it is, except for the fact that Marek's is so freaking contagious and
Yeah.
dangerous.
Oh, I did want to mention one other thing after
Oh,
you're
yeah.
done. So you finish what your sentence. I'm sorry to
No,
interrupt.
go ahead because I started talking and for some reason I forgot what I was going to say. So I was just filling in and I was just
My
going to keep,
spidey
I was
senses were
monologuing.
tingling. Okay, this is ridiculous too. I'm gonna backpedal to when I dropped Flash off for the necropsy. I had an idea of what it would cost, but it cost me $190 to get a necropsy on a bantam chicken, which is just so screwed up to me because I know in different states, like you can get them done for free or at a lower cost because you're almost like donating them to somebody to learn. And Michigan State University's vet lab is listed as the state's resource for the extension. I looked at the fee schedule online, and for getting a necropsy on a cow or a goat or any other larger animal, it was upwards of like $500 to $700. Now, I don't know how farmers, especially dairy farmers, who are suffering right now with these prices, could even like fathom taking a dead cow that they already potentially lost thousands of dollars from its death to figure out what the hell was wrong with it in a necropsy. Like to me that just seems so wrong.
Well,
Like
and one of the things too is like, so the cost of necropsies are important. It is an important topic because necropsies are so vital to ensuring that
yes.
our food sources are safe. Because when an animal that's used in large scale food production drops dead for unknown reasons, you want to make sure that there's not some sort of crazy disease spreading throughout that region because that could
Hmm.
put our food at risk. Our food supply could be at risk. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And that kind of thing kind of deters people because like it was that came out of my savings account and like things aren't horrible at the moment, but things aren't also super great. So dropping $190 on something right now was really a pain in the ass. I'm grateful that I could because I made it a priority. I made it work because I need to know what's going on with my flock, especially since I do want to breed. And even if it's not breeding for chicks, even just like selling hatching eggs and things like that, I need to know what's going on with my flock so I don't endanger anybody else's.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing that I kind of done some research on previously too was NPIP certification. So every state has an agency, I guess you would call it, that comes out and tests your flock for avian influenza, and there's another one too, I think they might test for, to make sure like your flock isn't sick. So you get the sign off, like you get the seal of approval that you can breed and sell chickens and poultry or whatever. That does not test for Merrick's, which I found super interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is really
So,
interesting.
but also that pricing fluctuates quite a bit. And for the state of Michigan, it's $300 for them to come out and do the initial. And then I think it's 100 to 150 every year to renew. But they'd come out and like test every single one of my birds. And I have like between 50 and 60 right now. So,
Yeah.
but other states it's like $30 or $100. So I don't know what's up with Michigan, but they need to like calm down. Bring these prices down just a little bit, please.
Just make them more accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if there's like bird flu going on in your area, like you would think it would be in their best interest
Yeah.
for them to find that out.
Right. And I think even for like 4-Hers, for anybody that's bringing their bird to the fair, they even have to be tested for it. And that's
Yeah.
not cheap. And to put that on a kiddo in that kid's family, it's kind of
Yeah.
crappy. So I don't know if maybe they have discounts for that sort of thing or what, but
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, there might be some like vet offices that go and do
maybe.
that.
Hey Bev, what repels insects and pests, increases pH to sweeten crops, sanitizes chicken coops, stables, and barns, and does about 20 other things?
I don't know, Sam. What?
For Saturday Lime, the organic, very, very safe, to the point where you can eat it, but I don't recommend that, lime product that you can use all over your farm and in your house. Well, more outside your house, but you get what I'm saying.
It's safe to use inside your house. Yeah, and totally don't eat
Yes.
it because it is not made of ground up limes.
No. And while it looks kind of like cake powder, it's definitely not.
No, 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 no.
But that's the consistency of it. And I love that I can take that stuff out of the package with my bare hands if I forget my little scoopy and just spray it and make it rain all over the chicken coop.
Yeah, because it's totally safe for chickens to ingest, to roll in. It's totally fine for them to breathe it in because, unlike diatomaceous earth, it doesn't have any silica in it. So it's safe for lungs and it doesn't burn your animals or your hands like regular hydrated lime does.
Yes. So you guys just have to try this if you haven't already, or if you have before. You can still go to firstsaturdaylime.com and use our promo code at checkout. It is hashtag drink, and you will get 10% off.
And you can use that code every time you lime. Because remember, it's first Saturday lime because you're supposed to use it every first Saturday. Which, yeah, I didn't know if we would talk about this topic this episode, but this feels like a good segue into that article that I sent you
Oh,
about
yeah.
how there's a shortage of veterinarians that work
Mm-hmm.
on farm animals in these rural areas. I'm going to
Yes.
pull that article up so that we can chat about that. I thought that would be interesting to chat about, not because necessarily there's anything we can do about it, and none of our listeners should be like on their way into college, hopefully. Because,
But they might
we
have
drink
children that are
and we
making
farm things.
decisions, you
They
know?
might have children that are making decisions, or you might be a young college student that like hasn't really decided what it is that you want to do, or maybe you're currently like going in to be a veterinarian, but you hadn't quite decided like what path you wanted to take. Like rural communities are in desperate need of good veterinarians, like veterinarians that will go to their farms and help take care of things like regular immunizations of their animals and take care of delivering when cows are calving and having issues
Mm-hmm.
or goats are kidding and having issues. They're like the first line of defense between lots of crazy farm animal diseases and our food source.
Yeah.
Like this woman that they interviewed for this article, and I'll link to this article in the show notes so that everybody can read it as well. She talks about how she goes to the auction where the animals are taken to be auctioned off for slaughter, and she's the person that checks all of those animals to make sure that they're good for the food supply. And she
Mm-hmm.
thinks to herself, would I feel good with my niece eating this? If the answer is no, that animal doesn't pass her test and doesn't
Oh,
go to
yeah.
the auction circle for slaughter. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that this was just a super interesting topic, and I know, like, I it's almost like how there's a shortage of just human physicians in rural areas, and that there are special grants you can get from the government if you're a rural health clinic, and that access to healthcare for people out in these areas for even for like I said, just for humans, it's definitely lacking. But I almost wonder too, like it's incredibly hard to get into medical school, but it's also incredibly hard to get into vet school, and the seats are so limited. And the article does point out that a lot of graduates don't want to move to rural areas or tend to go to the bigger cities because there's more money involved when you're in the bigger cities. And then vet school isn't cheap either. So you're going to have six figures of student loans by the time you're done, unless are rich or have grants or scholarships or things like that. So just the price of the student loans and then what you're making and how long it takes to pay those off. That financial decision is something that they have to personally make too, that affects the amount of vets in rural areas.
Well, there is a loan forgiveness program for veterinarians that want to work in a rural area. The
Mm-hmm.
USDA loan forgiveness program will give about $75,000 of loan forgiveness to 50 people a year that go in to working into rural areas. Now, 50 people isn't enough to take care of all of
No,
the rural areas, but it's definitely an interesting thing to look into.
it's better than nothing. It's a
It is.
good
It's better than nothing.
start.
And $75,000 is a lot
I
of loan forgiveness. I mean, my student loans weren't even close to that, and I felt like my student loans were really high, and I had to sell a house to get rid of my student loans.
Yeah, mine are in the six-figure range, so I totally get the pain
Yeah.
of that people, but the ranges that they give for the rural farmers in there, I don't make that and I manage to pay my student loans. So you do have to live like a little bit of a different lifestyle, but I mean, 60 to $70,000 a year isn't a whole lot to turn your nose up to, but they do mention in that article about high burnout for vets, especially in those rural areas because it's just them.
Yeah.
So the money, even at 60 to $70,000, might not seem worth it for that. Whereas when you can go into a bigger city and maybe the hours are more structured or you have rotation for on call, it might just be a little easier to deal with.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. But it's one of the reasons why, as like small hobby farmers, we do things like keep fully stocked first aid kits. Ooh. Hold
Yes.
on, we gotta take a break. What'd you open? We don't normally do that mid-episode, but I always
So,
ignore that. But I'm like, I gotta say something next time Sam opens
yeah,
mid-episode because I like it.
I finished my soft parade shandy, so now I brought in here a truly spiked and sparkling lemon and yuzu.
Mm,
So I'm hydrating because it's water.
I like it.
So I'll have to go back outside after this. So yeah, Sam's a drinking.
Good for you. It is a
That
Sunday.
was almost as good as a commercial, like a little segue.
Sunday fun day.
Woo.
So where was I going with this? Oh yeah. So that's why one of the reasons why it's so important for us to educate ourselves as like small hobby farmers or
Hmm.
homesteaders. Like we don't always have access to a vet when we need it for our animals. So fully stocked first aid kits, getting to know what types of illnesses or diseases are prevalent in your area and how to treat them, how to recognize them. I know that a lot of small homesteaders and hobby farmers choose not to vaccinate their animals. And if you don't take your
Hmm.
animals off of your farm and you're not constantly introducing new members from like different herds, like, you're not going to shows and, purchasing animals that way and just bring them in, you're probably totally fine. Because I understand why some people would prefer to keep vaccines out of the animals that they're harvesting for eating
Yeah.
or, for eggs. Like, I didn't feed my chickens medicated feed, even though I know that
Mm.
that's like the number one prevention of coccidiosis. Is that right? Is that what
Hmm.
medicated feed is for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for your meat chickens, you didn't,
Nope, I
or
didn't
for
for my meat
both.
chickens or for
Okay.
my egg chickens. Yeah, and
Okay.
they all appear to be fine so far. Knock on wood. Like, I really got to knock
Yeah.
on wood since I'm talking about this. Yeah, because the initial reason why I moved out to the country and started raising animals was because I wanted to raise the healthiest meat possible. But
Hmm.
like when we got the goats, I decided to vaccinate the goats because all of the goat stuff just like scared the shit out of me.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
was like, goats are just like, they're expensive. They're expensive to get
Yes.
started with a herd of goats. They're expensive to feed and care for. Like, I have a vet for my goats, but I don't have a vet for my chickens because
Right.
chickens just, their sicknesses, they all have symptoms that are so similar. So even a vet might not be able to nail down what exactly is wrong with the chicken based on symptoms alone. They'd have to run all these crazy panels, like blood panels, and you'd have to pay for a vet visit. Like, and that's just not something that's sustainable with the way that I do my homestead and like my
Right.
food and animal plan. But I know lots of people do take their chickens to the vet. So if you have the means and ability and desire to do that, like, I'm not shaming you whatsoever. But yeah, so those, like the type of care that you give your animals, it's all going to depend on your situation and what your priorities are
Yep.
and what
And
you're willing to put up with.
yes, exactly. And even like with our whole Marek scare now, I'm like, okay, anything we hatch, I need to learn how to give chicks, like day old chicks, Marek's vaccinations.
Oh, yeah, I'll be happy to learn how to do that and come show you. I don't mind giving animals vaccinations whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that one out, I think. Just because now I'm like super paranoid, like with that whole mess. So,
Yeah.
where were we going with that? Oh, chicken first aid. Yeah, I feel like, and even with goat stuff, like we do have a vet in town here that'll do goat things for us, but I think for almost any animals, you kind of become your own vet. At least like the first step, because we're not, we didn't go to school for it, but with the power of the internet and just having to proactively educate yourself kind of as you go along, you do kind of become like a little bit of a subject matter expert in some areas, depending on what you've had to deal with. Because you can be seen as an expert by someone because you might just know a little bit more than them. So they might perceive you as knowing a lot. Like I get a lot of questions, and sometimes I'm like, I don't know, you're gonna have to Google it because it's like I know some things, but not everything. So I think that's just a skill you have to have and a thirst that you have to have if you're gonna do this sort of thing is to learn and to continually learn and sometimes even fail along the way.
Yeah, I mean, what you said at the beginning when we were talking about this subject, about how you have to have some sort of tolerance for death if
Hmm.
you decide to take on this life that we're living, like that's just so true. You've got to get
Yeah.
used to blood and guts and chicken vomit, and it's not all fun
Yeah.
and games, unfortunately.
And then when you
Why are
bring
we being so dark again?
well, I was just gonna say too, and when you have children around, because my stepdaughter this weekend asked, "Oh, is Flash still sick?" Because they were here last weekend too, and she saw her in the little crate thing. And my husband like kind of shook his head, and I was like, "Flash didn't make it. Flash died on Wednesday." And she was like, "Oh." And I like kind of just gave it to her straight and explained what happened and told her we tried to do everything we could. Like I even like gave her some antibiotics the night before she died because I was like, "Oh, her poop looks like it's botulism." Now that I'm actually like looking into things, and it was obviously too late or it wasn't botulism, either one. And, I kind of went through everything I did, and I could tell she was kind of getting like teary. I was like, "It's okay for you to be sad." But when you do this kind of stuff, when you live this lifestyle, like it's just something you're going to have to learn to deal with. And I was like, I cried my eyes out. So if you're upset, that's okay. But I think it does teach a valuable lesson to children, to fully understand the circle of life and why things happen and that you try to do everything you can, but sometimes it's just beyond your control. I think that's just a good life lesson for them in general.
Well, and one of the things that we did, this was my husband's idea, so I was really thankful because, like, we've only had one chicken death so far. I'm gonna knock on wood again. I feel like I'm like totally
You're,
jinxing myself right here.
yeah.
Um, but we've only had the one chicken death, and when she died, like I was just kind of in shock, and I just like didn't know what to do. The kids were getting ready for school because it was like seven
Ugh.
o'clock in the morning, and like my husband's like, all right, I gotta like take these guys to school, and then we'll come back and we'll bury her. And the kids knew that I had brought the chicken in while they were getting ready, and they were like, oh, like, how is Artemis? Is she okay? And my husband was like, oh, Artemis just died, but we still have her in the laundry room. We should go and say goodbye to her and tell her thank you
Mm-hmm.
for all the eggs she gave us. And so that's what
Aw.
the kids did. They went in there and they thanked her for all of the eggs that she laid for them. And then they went to school. And I mean, they were sad,
Yeah.
but they were okay. Like they just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's important to be grateful for every animal's life. I know we've
Yes.
talked about that just a little bit, especially now that I'm getting into actually harvesting animals, harvesting live animals. Like it's a big deal taking a life.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna eat meat, it's just part
It's
of it
part of it.
if you want
Yeah.
to raise your own meat. Yeah. We were talking about it last night with some friends. We weighed the meat chickens yesterday because I was hoping that
Oh.
they were getting close. I was like, sorry, honey, we might be spending Father's Day harvesting our chickens, but they were only 4.25 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
So they're not ready yet. They look huge to me though, and they have gone through like 90 pounds of feed. So I'm
Oh
keeping
my
track of how
gosh.
much feed they go through and how long it takes to get them to weight. But also, I'm doing the thing where they don't have free access to feed. I just refresh their feeder in the morning, and then when they run out, they run
Ah.
out. And
Yeah.
they have to scratch and peck and get bugs and grass and whatnot
Oh,
because I move
good.
their tractor twice a day so that they're on fresh grass several times to
Okay.
dig through and get bugs in. But yeah, so they're probably not growing as fast as they would if I was just giving them free access to feed. But seriously, those birds would spend all day with their head in the feeder if I let them.
Oh, absolutely.
They're not nearly like as franken chicken as I thought they were going to be, though. Like they act like real chickens. Like I go out there with my Grubblies bag and shake it now, and they start running
Aw.
to the end of the tractor and like dancing around for him. So they're totally regular chickens. They're just super big regular chickens. Because I think they're 6 weeks old on Friday, and they're 4.25 pounds. So
Aw.
I'm gonna weigh them again this Friday to see how much they gained in a week so that I can figure out a butcher date. Because I have to get them processed before we leave for the Naperville Ale Fest.
Yes.
Because I don't want to leave a farm sitter in charge of them. I don't know why. I feel like it's a little much because their tractor's kind of small. So I'm really regretting the size of it. I think we need to build another one. Or my thought is, as soon as I get my gate situation figured out with the goat pasture, because that's where they're at, they're in the goat pasture, I'll
Mm-hmm.
be able to let them free range in there with the goats and the egg chickens. And then they'll just go in their tractor at night to keep them safe from predators.
Okay.
That's my
Yeah.
idea because they're kind of a little crammed in there, even though there's only 13. And supposedly that tractor is big enough for 20. And I was like, no freaking way. If I put 20 chickens in there, it's just sort of like factory farm raising them, in my opinion. So, Sam, what treat is it that you give your chickens when you want them to have super crazy, strong eggshells and healthy feathers?
Well, my grubblies bring all the girls to the yard, and sometimes the boys too.
And they're
So
like, it's
obviously,
better than worms?
yes, damn right. It's better than worms.
Because,
We're so funny.
most worms are created in China.
Right.
I'm still having trouble with that main thing. Created in China, grown in China, whatever you want to call it. But grubblies are grown in the USA and they eat garbage, which keeps
Yes.
garbage out of the landfill.
And
I
it,
mean, like food garbage,
yeah,
not like
yeah, yeah.
plastic, but
Well, that'd be pretty amazing if they could eat plastic too. But they do offset 7 pounds of carbon dioxide for every pound too. So that's why you should just go ahead and subscribe to get them every single month because not only is it fantastical for your chickens, but also for the environment.
yes. And you can use code WINE20 at checkout at grubblies.com and you'll get 20% off your first order.
Woohoo! Speaking of that kind of thing, this is us getting back into the food thing. I was watching How It's Made this morning. Like I turned on the TV and it was just on. It's a show on like one of those learning channel shows and I was like, "Oh, 'cause it showed like eggs being like weighed and stamped as grade A and if they're not stamped they go here, but like showing them going through like the conveyor belt situation. And then at the end of it, they showed a shot of like the leghorn chickens because leghorns are like power layers and they lay the classic white eggs that you see at the grocery store that are like 35 to 40 days old. And like I was watching it, and then at the end they go, and after 72 days, the chickens will be sent to the slaughterhouse as a thank you for all of their hard work. And I was like, 72 days? And I think they misspoke on there because I did some research and it's like after 72 weeks, they're generally sent to the slaughterhouse.
That makes more
Because I was
sense.
like, I was like, freaking Foggy, our leghorn, is like over a year old now and she still lays like an egg a day. I was like, that is such a waste because she is like a little champion egg
Yeah.
layer. But I was like, it made me kind of like realize all over again, like those poor chickens are like sitting side by side in cages all day, just laying eggs. Like that is their life. That is all they do. And it just made me feel better all over again about like having all these happy free range hens like running around my yard and just going to the nesting box when they need to do what they do. But I was like, even after like 72 weeks for a leghorn, I mean, that might be like their peak and they might start laying less and it's not as efficient, but I just feel like that is such a waste because like chickens can lay up to like 3 to 5 years pretty consistently. I saw something on
Well, how
Instagram
old
yesterday.
is 72 weeks? That's
That's like a
almost four
year,
years?
72,
Oh,
52 weeks in
wait.
a year
Oh,
though.
you're right. Okay, I was thinking months.
Yeah. So it's like, and that was like, oh gosh, that just doesn't seem right to my brain. But I saw somebody on Instagram. I feel so bad. I don't remember who it is now. She has an 8-year-old hen that still gives her a few eggs a week.
Oh my goodness,
That
seriously?
is insane. insane. Yes. So like you're taking this slightly over a year hen and slaughtering it because it's not producing as quickly as it used to. So, but
Yeah.
that just speaks to the whole like, supply and demand thing that we have going, and then you can't get emotional about, and like leghorns do not have a lot of meat on them, so they got to be shipped off to a slaughterhouse to be like animal byproduct or something like that because you're not going to
Or
feed
like
that to
going
a
in like
human.
chicken noodle soup, like frozen food that has like
Yeah.
tiny chunks of chicken in it.
Yeah.
That's probably what they're being used for. Or chicken nuggets, who knows?
Yeah. But
Yeah,
like in
it's
that
hard to say.
situation even, there's no way that those hens are completely disease free either because
Yeah, because
they're
there's so
just
many so close
oh,
together.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's got to be something. Like, how are they not? But, depending on the illness, it's not necessarily going to get passed on from the egg. But I just think about like the welfare of the animal.
Yeah,
And
the welfare of the animal was what got me into this, sort of to begin with. The welfare of the animal and the health of my family. It was like I was
yeah,
focusing on those two things. And one thing that I feel like is really important to point out, like I don't think that factory farmers are bad or are
no,
bad people.
no,
I think that they have the best of intentions also. They're tasked with a super hard job, and that's to
hmm
provide food for the millions of people that don't create any food themselves.
right,
And I think that that's sort of why this movement has taken off the way that it has. So many more people are interested in where their food is coming from and how their food is produced. Like, it's why so many people have chosen to become vegan or vegetarian. Like, they're like, I live in an apartment in the middle of the city. I can't possibly raise my own meat, and
right,
my paycheck isn't big enough to buy the free range locally produced meat because it's expensive to raise
yes,
meat chickens to slaughter and then package them and store them and market them and get them, proved as being safe for the consumer. All of that costs money, and that's why I remember we talked about how I buy my chickens from the Amish.
yeah,
I don't think I ever actually set a price for how much I paid for each
no,
chicken. I realized that when I was listening to it because I totally meant to. Each chicken costs me between 18 and $20
oh,
for one
see,
chicken. Yeah. So that's why we don't eat a ton of meat or chicken, because that's what it costs to buy ethically raised and humanely slaughtered food. It's
yes,
expensive. So that's why I've decided to kind of take on some of it here, because I'm like, well, I can divert some of those funds into actually like, building up a little more infrastructure on the homestead to handle those things, and then we can do it here for cheaper. But we'll see. My chickens haven't been butchered yet, so don't worry. I'll give you guys all the numbers, and I'll actually write a blog post about it too so that it's up there. I'm so
oh,
far behind on my
perfect.
blog because I'm trying to do all the things right now.
I know,
This
and like,
podcast has kind of taken priority though,
yes,
not because it's necessarily the easiest, but it is definitely the funnest. I mean,
aw,
we drink and we get to talk about farming things, and I get to hang out with Sam.
yeah. And then like it was so much fun doing that interview too. So that's like almost like sometimes it's like, we have to record. Let's do it. And we always have fun when we do it, but sometimes like just getting into it. But that
Yeah.
interview really pumped me up for like the next couple weeks, I think, because we have quite a few lined up.
Oh, I think so too. I'm gonna be like running on the high of that interview for forever, and I can't tell you anything about it because I don't know if
Ugh,
it's gonna drop before this episode drops. I seriously hope so.
yeah.
So if you haven't listened to Drink and Lime yet and you see it, definitely go listen to it. You do not want to miss it. It is
Oh my
not
God.
boring. It is not just about lime. Like, you get to learn a lot of really cool things. You get to laugh a lot. You get to learn a lot more stuff about us. That's all I'm going to say
Oh
about it. I'm
my
done.
God. I know so much more about Bev now and Jessica. I'm just like sitting here drinking my drink and just like, oh my God, what is happening?
It was a
Oh.
really good episode.
Yeah. So if it's posted, definitely like Bob said, listen to it. If it's not, you're gonna be like dying. We're like really building this up now.
We will, and it's worth every bit of buildup that it
Oh
gets.
yeah.
I promise you. You will not be disappointed.
I listened to the rough cut on the way to get my hair done yesterday. I was like dying in the parking lot waiting for the salon to actually open because I got there a little early. But I was laughing at myself. So it was pretty damn good.
Let's see. Did we have anything else this episode? Did I wrap up all my thoughts
Uh,
clearly? I
I
realized I
think
sort of kind
so.
of went around all over the place.
We did.
I was kind of trying to say that like animal health matters. It's important to take the best care that you possibly can of your animals. And
Right. And like, I think in line with that, it's important not to judge people based on their decision of how they want to consume their food or where they get it from,
yeah,
because they're probably just doing the best they can. Or maybe they just don't know any better.
we're all
Um,
making such impossible
yeah.
choices. If there's
Yeah.
anything that like getting more into adulthood has taught me, it's that there's just no perfect and right answer.
No.
It's all hard,
Yes.
but it's
Oh my
all so
gosh, yeah.
worth it. Like it just like don't beat the shit out of yourself for the choices that you have to make in life. Like I think I wanted this podcast is really coming into like what I was hoping we would do. I want to inspire you guys to do everything that you possibly can. I want to teach you everything that we learn and come across. And like I want us all to be better humans, better
Yeah.
consumers, better keepers of the animals. I don't know.
Yeah. And just being more aware of what that meat or even the corn or the green beans or whatever's on your plate had to go through in order for you to get there. Like I've been starting to like instill in the kids when they're here. Like if you put it on your plate, you're gonna eat it because you're not gonna be wasteful of everything that went into what's on your plate. So
Which is
I
really
know
good. Oh yeah,
I've been
that
more
reminds
mindful
me.
of it. Oh,
So I had a little bit of follow up from that conversation too while I was thinking about that, while I was editing it.
mm-hmm.
I was listening to that and I totally had forgotten to mention, so I have a little more follow up, I suppose. And then we'll wrap this up.
Ooh, we weren't as clean as we thought.
We weren't. Darn it. That's all right. I'm getting like the last bit of like dust out of there. So there actually have been studies that like the Clean Plate Club and like making your kids clean plates is one of the things that's sort of led to childhood obesity and
Yeah.
overeating. Like so my dad's parents were like, clean plate parents. My dad still cleans his plate every time. And that can be really bad at places like a restaurant where the
Yes.
entire meal is like 1600 or 1800 calories, which is like as many as you need to consume in a day, depending
Yeah.
on how old
Yeah.
and what your weight and activity level is. So, like when we say that we want our kids to clean their plates, they're reasonable plates.
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
only put the amount of food on there I think that she'll eat. And in fact, I intentionally put just a little less because I want her to ask for seconds of the things that she likes and wants to try more of.
Hmm.
And I had forgotten to mention that.
No,
So yeah,
that's a good point.
you can't pile your kid's plate or like bowl full of spaghetti and then yell at them to eat all of it, because that's just going to cause food
Food
insecurity
issues.
issues,
Yeah.
body image issues, and all sorts of that. Like in the future, when we're saying things like this, and I mean, our listeners must just, like I've said it before, they think really charitably of the things that we say.
Yeah.
They don't automatically assume the worst of us, which makes me super happy because, like, I want to be honest and give my honest opinion about things without feeling like people are going to come and like nitpick every tiny little word
Oh
that I
yeah.
say
Oh
when
yeah.
I totally meant something nicer and more generous than the way that the words came out. Because, like we've said, I'm terrible with words sometimes.
And
But
I
yeah,
just don't
Clean Plate
care.
Club is only for healthy foods served in the right quantities.
Yes.
That's totally what we mean by clean plate. Yeah.
And I do think it like is like kind of like we always say like do what works for you and do what works for your family and like my two stepkids, they're like freaking bean poles. They are so damn skinny.
Oh, both of
And
my kids
like
are too.
and I was like a little chunker like when I was my stepdaughter's age. Like I just chunked out for a little bit and then once I hit 7th grade and got braces, like I slimmed right down through like puberty and all that glorious stuff.
Ooh,
But
our
they're like
podcast
bean
talks about
poles.
puberty now.
Yeah, we do. Um, oh God, I can't wait till they hear that interview. I almost spoiled it. Yeah, so with my stepkids and with Bev's kids, it sounds like they both have, they're both generally healthy. But I know personally for my stepkids, it's just sometimes they are just a little like we're trying to get them to make their own plates at this point. So sometimes they're like a little overzealous, like their eyes are bigger than their stomachs. And I don't want them thinking it's okay to waste food, so that they should start with a smaller portion size. So it's something
Yeah.
that I'm trying to instill in them and kind of train their brains, because I did grow up with the whole clean your plate thing too. And sometimes I still catch myself like cleaning it even if I'm not hungry anymore, and I could really just save it for leftovers. So,
Well, and one of the things that's super cool about having chickens too is like the food doesn't go to waste if
oh
like you
yeah,
really can't eat it or you don't want to make your kids eat it, like the chickens will eat it.
exactly.
And if you have pigs, even better, because pigs are
Yeah.
even better garbage disposal than chickens are. I just wanted to share one tip for dinner time, and then we'll wrap it up for you guys. But so I use the salad plates when I serve every meal. When
Ooh.
people come over, I think they always get really confused because, like we'll sit down to a really nice dinner and they'll try to like pull out my big giant plates. I'm like, no, 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 we eat on the little plates. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, because nobody needs to eat a plate that big full of food. We use the big plates for like Thanksgiving and like Christmas dinner and like,
Mm-hmm.
your turkey at Easter or ham at Easter and whatnot. But the little plates are for everyday eating because that's really the right amount of food for us.
Yeah.
Because I'll fill the plate with all of the good food because I'm excited to eat it, and then I will either feel way too stuffed afterwards or I'll waste. So the little plate, the little tiny salad plate, is the right size to fill and feel good afterwards. And then I can always go for seconds if I want it.
Yeah.
But I don't
That's
know,
true.
that's kind of a dumb tip, but I felt like,
No, I
yeah,
we alternate between our small plates and our big plates. So if we're having something like tacos or something that's maybe a little longer and would just not fit on our salad plates, we might spice it up a little bit. But otherwise, we do the salad plate thing too, because obviously Bev and Sam are the same person.
and they
So,
fit in the dishwasher better.
oh my gosh, yes. Sometimes that happens too, where all of the smaller plates are dirty because when it's just me and my husband, like we don't have to do dishes or run the dishwasher as often.
Yeah,
So we'll use big plates.
I like that. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.
This is we're having fun. We're almost
Yeah.
legal. Episode 17.
Yeah, almost legal. We're almost 18. I was just telling Bev
What?
before we hit play, or record rather, not play, that episode 21 we should just do shots through like the whole thing, and she didn't
Shots,
seem
shots, shots, shots,
shot, shot,
shots.
shot.
That's the second time I've sang this episode.
I
You're
know.
never gonna hear me sing again.
You're in such a good mood. Now that's gonna be like my challenge to get Bev to sing more. And just to forewarn you all, if you're coming to the Ale Fest, when Sam gets intoxicated, she thinks she can sing opera. So if I
Love it.
start singing Phantom of the Opera, I'm sorry ahead of time, because I think I sound great when I'm intoxicated, and I can't really hear myself at that point.
That's
So,
all right. I think I dance really well when I'm intoxicated, and I
ooh,
have no rhythm. I'm like the worst.
so you can sing while I sing, you can dance to my singing,
There we go. That's exactly what we'll do. Someone
and
will
they're
put it
gonna
on
be,
YouTube. It'll go viral, and then our
yeah.
podcast is gonna have like millions of listeners. Nope.
And then our chickens will have like heat and air condition in their coops because we'll
Oh, that
just
would
be
be so
that bougie.
nice.
Yeah.
Bougie chickens.
Bougie chickens.
So yeah, thanks for listening with us, guys.
Yeah.
Please rate, review, subscribe on iTunes. If
Yes.
you do nothing else that we've asked you to do, please, please, please do that.
And if you really love us, follow us at Drink and Farm on Instagram and join our group. We drink and we farm things on Facebook.
Yeah, there's a poll in
And
there
yeah,
now
yeah.
deciding like what our tagline is.
Oh yeah, let me
So
refresh that super quick so we can see what it is. Because
yeah,
I'm
and
super
send us your
interested.
weird farm stories. If you
Yeah.
haven't listened to Drink and Lime yet, listen to it. You'll get to hear some weird farm stories and questions, and maybe that can give you some inspiration on what kind of shit you can send us.
Yeah, because we got pretty weird there at the end.
It's good though. It was all good weird. You're gonna like it, or you're gonna hate it, and you're never gonna listen to us again. But that's okay too.
Well, we have 8 people voting for Clucks and 0 voting for Flocks. So I think,
So Clucks it is at least for this
yeah,
episode.
and give 0 Clucks. Yeah, and
Yeah.
probably for the t-shirts then.
Yep. That sounds like it.
Yeah. All
So
right.
drink
Farm
and
and give
give
0
zero
Clucks.
clucks. Bye guys.
Bye. Cheers.
Cheers.